Hey everybody, so what are your goals, or what are your career goals? Let's talk about how to answer this job interview question, because chances are you're going to be asked it or something very similar to it if you go to a job interview. Now, here's an article that appeared in Interview Penguin recently that talks about how to answer this question, how to answer interview questions about career goals. Okay, let's go down this article and see if they got it right. Now, this question is very interesting, okay, when they ask you, what are your goals? Because this is a sort of hybrid question. It's sort of halfway between being asked, why should we hire you? And being asked, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Okay. Now, let's try to imagine the recruiter's perspective. Okay. So imagine you're the recruiter, okay, and you've been given the task of finding a candidate that's suitable for a particular role, okay? And you were to ask this question for a candidate that walked through the door, okay? And you said, what are your career goals? And they started describing a completely different job than the job that you're interviewing them for, okay? Let's pretend that you were interviewing them for a customer service job, right? And you said, what are your career goals? And they started describing how they want to really be a CEO and how they're a perfect fit for the CEO job and how they want to be that and how they've been training for it their whole lives. And it would be the job that would make them happy and how every one of their personality traits is suited to doing that job. Okay. Now, would that convince you that they would be the perfect customer service representative? Probably not. Because even if they could do the customer service job better than any other candidate, you would have reason to suspect that if you hired this person, they would very shortly jump ship and get another job as a CEO or something more similar to a CEO as soon as it became available. Okay, so they would leave your company and go get hired as a manager or something at another company as soon as they possibly could. Because you know that their ultimate goal is not to be a customer service representative, but to be a CEO of some kind. So that's the problem with this question, okay? And the reason why this trips up a lot of candidates is because a lot of candidates will talk about, how they're upwardly mobile and how they want to improve themselves and how they have big ambitions. And in their mind, that makes them a very attractive choice for the current job because, they want to improve themselves and they want to rise through the ranks and achieve great things. The problem is it's actually doing them a disservice because what it's really saying to the interviewer, to the recruiter or hiring manager, is that you won't be satisfied in your current job. If they hire you as a customer service rep, you will not be happy in that role because you want to be moving on. And on top of that, because you want to do this other job, not only will you be more excited about doing that job, but perhaps your skills and your experience are going to contribute to you being better at that other job than you would at being a customer service rep. Okay, so this is the problem that is before us when we get asked this question in a job interview, and someone asks us, "What are your career goals?" or "What are your goals?" Okay, so the correct answer to this job is basically, or this question, I should say, the correct answer to this question, what are your career goals, is to simply illustrate or explain that this job that you're being interviewed for, that's pretty much what you want to do. I know it seems kind of hokey and it seems a bit strange, but that's ultimately what the interviewer wants to hear. Okay? So then when you describe that, they get the impression that, oh, this candidate is a good fit. You can't say this candidate isn't a good fit because they basically described their dream job and what their goals are, where they want to end up, as the job I'm hiring them for. So if I were to hire them, they would be really happy and they would not quit on me. They would not underperform because they're daydreaming of doing other jobs. And they're not dissatisfied with their current role. Okay? So therefore you would pass the question. And for that reason, I say that, like I said in the beginning, this job is sort of halfway, this question is halfway between why should we hire you? And where do you see yourself in 5 years? If someone were to ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? The answer to that is in this job. Okay, so that's kind of what they want to hear. Now, if we go down this article here, okay, it says, what goals should you mention and what goals should you avoid? Well, it depends on the position you apply for. Yes, it's going to vary by every single job. There's not a cookie cutter answer to this question. It depends entirely on the role that you are being interviewed for. Okay. It says companies do not like to hire someone for a year. Yes, exactly. They are looking to not hire someone who is going to quit on them. Okay. That is a major consideration when you pick the person, because let's face it, there are a lot of people out there that are qualified to do most jobs. Okay, finding a qualified person is really not too hard. What is hard, however, is finding somebody who will want to stay in the role and will interface with all the other people they have to work with very well, and will be satisfied in their role, and will fit in with the company's culture, which means the way things are done at that company or that organization. Okay, that's the hard part. So that's why they ask questions like this. It's kind of seems silly if you haven't been to many job interviews that, you some of these questions are very general, very vague, and you don't really know what they're asking for. This is what they're asking for when it comes to this question. Okay, they're trying to see if you're somebody that's going to be satisfied in the role that they're hiring for. Okay, and if the answer is that you would rather do something else, then you will probably not fit in this role. At least that's the logic that they employ. Okay, now between you and me, if you have ambitions to go on to do great things, to grow and to learn and to move on to new and bigger challenges, this is a great trait. Okay, between you and me, this is an excellent thing to want. And you should not be embarrassed by it. You should not try to repress it. It's a great thing. Okay, this is what life's about. However, the problem is that if you were to talk wholeheartedly and unabatedly about your ambitions to do all those things, it would hurt your chances of being hired for a current position. Okay, that is sort of some of the silliness of recruiting and the recruitment and selection process. Okay, now it makes a point in this article here to talk about personal goals. Okay, so the idea is that if they ask you about your goals and they don't specify career goals, I suppose it could be reasonable to talk about personal goals. Now, they talk about things like, my goal is to quit smoking, or to lose 20 pounds, or to run a marathon. Now, yes, I suppose you could say these, but I would not recommend these. First of all, to quit smoking, you're basically disclosing you've got a smoking problem. And depending on who you're interviewing with, that could be something that they consider negative. Okay. Same with the goal is to lose 20 pounds. Okay. You might regard this as, this is a positive thing. I want to improve myself. And so it seems like a good thing to say. But what they hear is that, oh, you've got a weight problem, you've got personal issues, and we don't want that. So it counts as a negative. Same with running a marathon. Okay. Don't get me wrong. These are good things to want. But when you answer this way in a job interview in this situation, okay, they could consider this irrelevant. What has this got to do with the job? Unless you're getting a job that you're working outside or you have to run for, this is just irrelevant, right? Okay. And like this other example here, I want to become a better mother and wife. I'm aware of the mistakes I make, blah, blah, blah. Like, once again, you're basically disclosing a negative about you. Okay. So I would not recommend that people say things like this for these various different reasons. Okay. Don't disclose anything negative about yourself in a job interview. That's one of the cardinal rules, okay, of job interviewing. Never say anything negative about yourself, okay, even if it's just in passing. And this is an example of somebody saying something negative about themselves in passing. What do we know about them now? Well, we know that they're not the greatest wife and mother. We know that they've made mistakes. Okay? Now, is that bad? Do we all make mistakes? Yes, we do. Everyone knows this. However, if you've just met somebody and they ask you, what would you like to do? And the first thing out of your mouth is how you've made mistakes. This does horrible damage when it comes to making a good first impression. Okay? So it's the context that matters. Normally, this would not be a bad thing if you're just talking to a friend or you're talking to somebody that knows you. However, if you're talking to a recruiter who's interviewing you for a job and they don't know you, and this is their first impression of you, and the first thing you do is you open your mouth and talk about all the things that you've done that are bad, that's going to be a problem. Okay, so that's why these are not good answers. I do not recommend you say any of these. Okay. Small goals can often beat big goals. Okay, I like this first line here. It says, not everyone can become a CEO, a professional athlete, or a rock star. Well, you know what? Speaking as somebody who was a CEO, I think everyone can become a CEO if they want. You know, professional athlete, okay, that requires perhaps genetics. I mean, maybe it's possible to become a professional athlete if you're not born with exceptional physical fitness. Maybe with training alone, you can do this. I don't know about being a rock star, but for being a CEO, you can. Okay, so I take exception to this first line. Being a CEO is not something that's magical and exceptional. It's a job like any other. And if you really want to do that, you can become it. It's going to usually take many, many, many years to work up to that, but it can be done. It's not a big deal if you want it bad enough and you improve yourself, okay, and qualify yourself to do it. But small goals can often be big goals. So they give some examples here. I just want to have a good job and a job I enjoy doing and be happy in my life outside of work. Okay, yeah, that's fine. But I mean, I think anybody could, this would describe absolutely anybody. So as a result, it would not be a great thing to say to distinguish yourself. Okay. Now, something like this is pretty good, actually. I recommend this. So I want to do a good work in this store. Okay, well, if you're going to say this, first of all, get your grammar right. I want to do good work in this store, help customers, and be happy and enjoy myself at work. So yeah, I mean, once again, the enjoying myself at work thing, I think that describes absolutely everybody. Everybody would prefer to have a job they enjoy than one they don't enjoy. However, you're giving something, you're basically giving a personality trait here. I want to help customers to be happy. Okay? I take pleasure through helping others. Okay, that means a lot to me. And I would like to do that in my day job. You know, I think that's a great answer. It's revealing something about you. It's a very good trait. And especially if that's pertinent to your job. Okay, if you were going for that customer service job that we talked about at the beginning, then this would totally be an awesome thing to say. You know, you'd say, like, whatever job I do and whatever I end up doing in the future, my future career goals, I would like to work with people, and I'd like to work with customers in particular, because I've had a track record of being able to help a lot of people. And when I help them and alleviate their concerns, and I can even delight them, that makes me feel very good as a person. And that's why I enjoy that type of work. And that's why I always want to do that type of work. You know, that's where I think I'm different from a lot of people. I derive a lot of pleasure from being able to do that. And I have a knack at doing this, and I'd always want to do it. I think that's a great answer. Okay, so in that case, I agree with this. And what this means is that they're talking about personality traits, perhaps more than job titles. Okay, when you answer this question. So I think that would be great. Another one here, it says, my goal is to be a good colleague and employee and to earn a decent salary that will allow me to support my family and the people I love. Well, yeah, there's something bad. It's not a bad answer, but it's not a good one. Once again, I think this is so generic, it could describe any person on earth, right? So I would not particularly say that. You're just taking up time and you're not really selling yourself. You know, to sell yourself, you have to say things that are great about you that don't apply to every other person on the planet. Okay, so that's what I would say to that. Now, conclusion and next steps. While it's true that responsible people have goals in their life, you do not necessarily have to dream big to impress the employer in a job interview. Yes, I agree. While we normally think that having an ambition is good, and it is good, it's the wrong place and time to mention it when you answer this question. They don't want to know about how you're going to leave this job and go on to do great things. They want to know that you're going to do this job really well, and you're going to be very happy doing it. You're going to be perfectly suited to it, and it's your idea of a dream job. That's what they want to hear. So let's be clear about this. If they ask you this question in a job interview, they say, what are your goals or what are your career goals? The correct answer is this job, essentially, is my career goal, okay? And so that some form of that is what they want to hear. Okay, so hopefully that makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much for your attention. You guys are awesome, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.